doing, everyone? Welcome back to my channel, True Crime with Jess Rose. How you all doing? Thank you to my new subscribers and all my comments and my likes. I did get a really long comment the other day from a lovely woman, but it was very long and I haven't had a chance to reply to it yet, but I will. I promise I will get back to you. Now, tonight's story, I think it might be a little bit shorter than my normal videos, which, let's face it, they're too long anyway. They're very long, the stories I do. I am aware of that. I know some people do the same stories as me, and they're done in like 8 minutes. But I suppose because I don't edit, maybe. But I think this will be a quicker story only because I've struggled to find a lot on it, especially with regards to it's the Ryan Waller story, especially in regards to Ryan's early years, and I normally like to give that because I think it gives you an image, doesn't it? Not an image, like a visual, without having the visual, if you know what I mean. But so I really struggled finding anything, so we're gonna come up to December the 23rd 2006, and this happened in Phoenix, Arizona, in America. And Ryan Waller is 18 on this date, and he's with a girl called Heather Kwan, and she's 21. And from what I've read and watched, it said they were very, very cute couple, really good looking, both of them, very, very attractive couple, and just really sweet, and just that's all I've really heard is all very positive things about them as a couple. So on December the 23rd, Heather goes round to Ryan's to watch a movie, watch a film, and it should have been very uneventful. That's what it should have been. She was going to go around and watch a film, come home. But this was on the 23rd of December, and by Christmas Day, neither side's families had heard from them. Neither Ryan's or Heather's families had heard from them. This is Christmas Day. So they asked the police to go around and do a welfare check. Now, this is what I mean about bits missing, because I haven't seen where the families lived. So to send the police round to Ryan's to do this welfare check, I would assume that both Heather's and Ryan's family didn't live nearby. I mean, they wouldn't, would they? You wouldn't send the police round if you live around the corner. So I'm assuming that's why it was the police that they sent round. But the police didn't actually go round on the 25th, on Christmas Day. They didn't turn up to Ryan's till the 26th, so obviously Boxing Day. And when they got there and the police gain access to Ryan's house, I think it's an apartment, when they gain access, Heather, unfortunately, is dead on the sofa with a gunshot wound to her head. And Ryan is walking around looking badly beaten, but up and about and walking around. And when asked what had happened, he said he didn't know. And so the police straight away, so they take him into their police cruiser, and they actually leave him in the police car for a little while they're having a look around the apartment and seeing what's gone on, and and the ambulance comes for Heather or would it be the, what are they called now? The coroner. Sorry, coroner. So Ryan's in the police car, and so they bring him to the police station. And this kind of starts the footage that I've seen, and it's the police interrogation. And even from, I mean, the camera's quite good. You know, you can get some police interrogation videos and they're all a bit grey and, you know, you can't quite make it out. But this is quite clear, and you can very clearly see Ryan is, look, literally black and blue. Like, he's got black eyes. He looks hurt on camera in the interrogation room. Now, from the very beginning of this interrogation, he's very confused. Now, let me just say, now I've watched many, as if you're interested in true crime, you would have done as well, many interrogation videos and, you know, police video, you know, all of these, and it didn't seem unheard of or anything else for someone to deny knowing anything. You know, it's not unheard of. You know, in fact, 99% of the videos I watch, it's always, I don't know, I wasn't there. You know, it's a standard reaction normally, unless you get the real psychopaths who are like, did this. It's very rare you will get someone to confess just like that. You know, so he was acting very strange. He kept saying he was really tired. And he didn't just have black eyes. He also had a chunk missing out of his nose as well. He was in a bad way, Ryan was. And when you're watching this video, I've got to admit, I was very, what's the word, dubious watching it with what Ryan was saying, because he just sounded very confused, and he was just saying, I don't know, I can't remember. He'd ask, can he go home? He wants to go to sleep. He was putting his head on that. So, and because he's 18 as well, you know, the policeman, the detective himself, he wasn't aggressive in any way, but he wasn't really buying what was being said to him, and you can understand why. You know, it's like I say, 99% of the time, it's a standard response. I don't know, I can't remember, didn't say anything. You know, so you can, when you're watching it, nothing really seems out of the ordinary, only how badly beaten this lad's face is. So he kept saying, could he go home? And the policeman at one point does say, the only place you should be going is to the doctors. So remember I said that. So he said if he had a concussion, the detective says that they'd been advised that if he had a concussion, he shouldn't be going to sleep anyway. Now let's bear in mind, at this point on the clock, it's about 5:30 in the morning, into Boxing Day morning. Do you know, I've really messed up. I'm so sorry. The police came on Christmas night. They did come Christmas, but they didn't come at the time the family had called. They didn't come until kind of the early hours of Christmas, Boxing Day morning, if that makes sense. So I remember at the beginning of the video I said they didn't come till Boxing Day. It was Boxing Day, but it was earlier hours of Boxing Day. So just so I've got that right. So it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's obvious he would be tired, is the point I was making. So the detective was saying, we can't really let you go to sleep in case you have got a concussion again. Now remember, he said you shouldn't go to the doctors, if you have got a concussion. He hasn't seen a medical professional. He went from his apartment to the police car to the police station. Okay? I think from what I gathered, they'd got advice from a medical professional regarding Ryan, but very vague. They weren't really concerned for him. Now, they were asking him, I keep saying he, I mean the police, but I mean the detective himself was asking, did you get in a fight with Heather? Were you and Heather fighting? What happened to Heather? And he's just very vague and confused, Ryan is. It's so hard to explain to you without telling you. So I'm you'll understand why I've been kind of stopping and starting, because I know what happened. So, but I am going to tell you, I just want to tell you everything. So at this point now, they think he can't or won't answer the questions. Not that he can't, it's more that he won't answer the questions, and he's very confused. He doesn't know Heather's last name. He's throwing different names into the mix. He mentions an Eric and then a Christina, and they're like, well, who are they? And he's like, Christina is Heather's friend. And so then during this interview, you're thinking, there's other people here. There's a whole thing that's gone on. But what we do know as a fact is Heather has been murdered. This poor girl who's 21 was found on Ryan's sofa, murdered, dead. So that is a fact we do know. But what's frustrating, the police, as you can understand, is that the one witness to this, it would seem is giving them the runaround. It would seem, even like as I'm watching it, that's what it seemed. It was quite frustrating because, like I say, he was just very, I don't know, I've got a headache. It was, it was very dismissive, and to someone who doesn't know and wouldn't know anything to look for, and having watched interrogation videos where they just annoy you, it seemed like it was going to be that case. But he mentions an Alicia. Then he mentions Richie and his dad. He said Richie shot him, shot Heather, shot up the house. And the guy's going, well, the detective saying, well, where did he shoot? And he's like, in my face. And he's going, if you were shot in the face, you wouldn't be sat here talking to me. He goes, with a BB gun? And he's like, no, a gun. And he goes, well, who shot Heather? And he goes, Richie. And he's going, and so why didn't you phone 911? He was like, I don't know. And he's like, see, you're telling me you've been shot, she's been shot by this Richie, and you don't know why you didn't phone the police? And he's like, I don't know. And it's, do you see what I mean? It's like, what? So then he says something that I think caught the detective's ear. He says, they shot us both. And the video kind of stops for a second, and he wheels nearer to Roy, like they're at this, as you know, the table like they're normally on. Ryan sat there and he sat here, and he kind of wheels his way around, and he goes, "Let me have a look." And he holds Ryan's head like that and turns it, and Ryan's like, "Look, my head's hurting," and he's looking a bit more, and then the detective abruptly stands up and walks out. And in this time, Ryan's been trying to put his feet up on the table, saying, you know, his legs hurt. So when the detective comes back in, he comes back with a very different tone. If you watch the interrogation, you will hear there's a distinct change in his tone. And he just says, "We just want these to have a look at you." And he kind of brings a colleague in, I believe. And he's going, "Can you see?" And he's like, "Went in there, come out there." And that's, as a viewer who's watching it, when it dawns on you that maybe what this kid's been saying is true. And next thing you know, they leave. Medical team comes in and they're looking, and he's like, "My head hurts." He still keeps saying, "My head hurts, my head hurts." And then they say, as they're obviously taking his blood pressure and everything else, someone off camera says, "You're right here, buddy." And he just stands up, this young lad, and just walks out behind them. And you just so he looks so out of it and kind of in his own bubble. But talking to them, he says, "Where are we going?" And they're like, and this was a bit frustrating. He goes, "We're taking you to the hospital. Your story checks out, or you checked out, buddy." Something very flippant. It's like, by the detective's initial, when he turned his head and then come out and come back in, by that initial kind of rush, there was no real urgency about anything. And I got annoyed then watching it, because I'm like, hang on a minute, so he is 18. I've been watching it too, and you know, but I'm not there. I can't see what this detective's looking at close up. At the same time, I have watched and only watched interrogation videos. I haven't ever, I'm not in that field, so I've never sat down with someone dangerous and tried to work out if they're telling the truth or not. So, you know, I can't also kind of come at it like, how could you not know? Because it's just such a crazy story, but it's also a really sad one. From beginning to end of when the police turned up to when they got into the hospital, 6 hours had gone by. Ryan was rushed straight into intensive care. He had to have part of his skull removed, and he lost his left eye. There are some reports out there saying he lost both. He didn't. He lost his left eye. No, that sounded like I was being flippant. I wasn't. I was just making sure that, you know, get the fact. The facts are bad enough as it is, you know, without embellishing. And yeah, it's just such a shame. It really is. It's just this poor boy was trying to say what had happened, and he couldn't get it out because that part of his brain just wasn't working for him to be able to explain what had happened. And basically what had happened was, the name he'd given Richie was a man called Richie Carver. Now, Richie Carver, I believe, from information I've got, was a roommate, flatmate of Ryan's, and through whatever reason, they had a falling out. There's rumours it was Richie was trying it on with Heather. Nothing substantiating that. There's just that they had a row over whatever. There's nothing to actually fully say what the reason was, but Richie was asked to leave the apartment. I think Ryan asked him to leave. So on the 23rd of December 2006, not long after Heather had got to the apartment, Ryan hears the door going, and basically when he went to look, it was Richie and his dad Larry Carver at the door. And as they were trying to get in, I think maybe he had a key. I think I heard somewhere he had a key. But as he's trying to get in, Ryan's pushing the door, and at this point Heather is asleep on the sofa, so he's trying to push the door closed. And what Richie did was got his hand round and shot Ryan in the face. Turns out Ryan was actually shot twice. One in his face that went through. I remember I says part of his nose was missing. And then another one that went through his skull. There was actually 4 gunshot wounds from 2 entrances and exits wounds on Ryan's face that policeman, not only he didn't say, the detective didn't say, but the police that turned up to Ryan's apartment didn't say. So Ryan went down, and it was said that they shot Heather, she slept through it, she was asleep on the sofa. They shot her just to get rid of any witnesses. And then they believed that Ryan was dead, so they stepped over him, shot Heather, robbed the apartment, and all they got was, I think it was a laptop and a few things. There was nothing. There's no big, haul to be got with this robbery. Just. And they stepped back over Ryan as they left, thinking they'd got rid of Heather as a witness to Ryan's murder, when in fact it was Ryan who actually witnessed Heather's murder, but he couldn't. He was explaining that he couldn't move. He'd just been shot twice. But I think what's really, really sad about this is that was on the 23rd. Then you got the 24th, you've got the 25th, and then the police didn't turn up until the early hours of the 26th. So talking over 48 hours. But poor Ryan was drifting in and out of consciousness, lying down next to Heather without realising she was dead, or maybe at certain points realising and then forgetting again and dropping off to sleep and just walking around in a daze. 48 hours through Christmas Day. It's just the saddest story all round, isn't it? It just really just for both reasons. I mean, poor Heather, who, when it sleeping, never got to wake up. And then Ryan, who it just so upsetting. So in 2008, Richie Carver, the son and the old roommate, he was found guilty and sentenced to natural life in prison. He'll never get out. But Larry Carver, Richie's dad, who the only real proof they had of him being there was the fact that he told his wife. That was the only real proof they had. They let him go because back then a spouse couldn't be called to testify against, a wife couldn't testify against a husband and vice versa. But Heather's law, which the family of Heather fought, for this, and it was known as Heather's law, was the legislation that was brought in that meant that prosecution or defence can call a husband or a wife to testify against their partner, and that's called Heather's law, and they brought that in, but at the same time they didn't know, could it kind of not be backdated as such, but retrospectively be used against Larry, and it could. So his wife was called up, and everything was put forward of what had happened. And yeah, I think with her testimony, it must have been with her testimony, it would have to have been. But in 2011, Larry Carver was also sentenced to life in prison. It was for the murder of Heather Kwan and the attempted murder of Ryan Waller, and obviously stealing and stuff, the stuff that they'd stolen. But the reason my voice is catching, it really is. In January 2016, Ryan actually died of a seizure that they're saying was a direct link to the attack in 2006. So for 10 years, that poor boy, he never got over it. He physically, he never got over it. Oh, it's just so sad, and the things I was watching, is all about the original crime, and the information I was getting is all about the original crime, and I'm not talking about Heather Kwan herself, of course, but I mean, it doesn't tend to mention later on what happened to Ryan. So I didn't find out that he died until a bit into researching this. So it was a kick in the gut, because I didn't realise, and the fact that it was a direct link, it's just so sad. And I think because I watched this young boy on the video, it's so, oh my God. So I have seen something from the Waller family, obviously Ryan's family, and because you might be wondering, well, did the police get in any trouble for this? Because like I said, there was 6 hours from when they turned up to his apartment to when he arrived at the hospital, was 6 hours. So basically there was a $15 million lawsuit against the city of Phoenix that had gone on for 3.5 years. And then 3 weeks before the trial, the city filed for a motion for dismissal based on, are you ready? That a doctor for the city, of course, said that the 6-hour delay didn't make a difference. And that's after 3.5 years, that was it, thrown out. Oh, his poor family. And the story is about Ryan, so please don't think I'm you know, not mentioning Heather or anything else. That's, you know, that's not my intention at all. But I have the story is about Ryan, and that's why, you know, I'm just reacting to that. It's just the whole thing all round is just devastating. It's just so upsetting. It's so sad. And if you see the picture of the two, the father and son that did it, they're just, ugh. They're just, oh, just vile. Just vile. Have a look. Have a look. You'll see them. Just, for what? For what? I get so frustrated, but it's like, for what? I suppose the only, I mean, would they have ever found out it was the father and son, what are their names? God, I don't even want to remember their names. Richie and Larry Carver, had Ryan died outright, there wouldn't have been any witnesses. Would they have been found out? I don't know. You know, so obviously it's amazing that Ryan was able to get that cross and it was found out and everything else, but it's just such a shame. It's such a shame it happened. It's just a really, really, really sad story. I'm sorry for the going back and forth and everything else. I just wanted to tell you all kind of in order without telling you what happened and then going back and then explaining. So that's why it was all a bit juttery at the beginning of the story. But thank you so much for joining me. That was the Ryan Wallace story. I just felt ugh. It's just, oh, so sad. But thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. And if you are still listening and still watching, I'm actually starting another channel. And it's going to be a reaction channel, if that's anything you're interested in or anything that you watch online. It's going to be called Jess, is it Jessica Rose? It's Jess Rose Reacts. Brilliant showing of the new channel there. And it'll just be reactions to, it's just obviously a lot more light-hearted than this channel. I love this channel. This is what fascinates me and what I enjoy doing. I just thought something maybe a little bit more light-hearted, and you know, I do watch reaction videos myself, and I just thought, you know, I could do that. I like reacting to videos, so I talk as I'm watching them all the time anyway, so I might as well record myself. So it's Jess Rose Reacts. I haven't put anything up yet because copyright, learning all about that this week I am. So although I've actually done 2 videos, I can't get them on. Can't get them on there. So if you know anything about the copyright laws and what we do, please let me know. So yeah, that's just if you are still watching. And if you have and you've just heard all of that, thank you so much for not turning me off 5 minutes ago. And I will see you soon. This channel remains as normal. I love these stories. I love this. The reaction channel is just going to be a bit more light-hearted, that's all. So yeah, but if you do want to have a look or subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much again for joining me, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.